The Nintendo eShop for 3DS and Wii U is closing down in a matter of days. Unless if you happen to be watching this after March 27th of 2023, then they've already pulled the plug. I'm sorry, but I'm sure you'll figure something out. Now, there are some steps that you can take before this third impact hits. Some things to consider, some exclusive games to check out, even some free stuff to download before everything goes offline. I'm Zion from Nintendo Life, and we want to help you get the most out of your aging but much loved hardware. So today we're sharing with you our Nintendo 3DS and Wii U eShop survival guide, a list of all of the things you should do before the eShop goes down. Nintendo's modern console is super rad, but there are so many things that you can only do with these puppies, and some of those things will probably never come to the Switch. Now, we'll leave timestamps in the description down below if you want to hop around a little bit, as this video is probably going to be very long. So grab your 3DS and collect some puzzle pieces or something while we hang out. So if it's been a while since you've last booted up your 2DS, 3DS, or your Wii U, but maybe you want to finally try it out again and play some more games, you'll want to make sure you've merged your eShop accounts to your overarching My Nintendo account. This allows you to keep your Nintendo eShop funds on each of your systems linked together. So for example, if you purchase eShop credit on your Switch, it'll be available and ready to use on your 3DS. It's legitimately that easy once you get it set up. Now, unfortunately, you can't purchase eShop credit on the 3DS or the Wii U anymore, but if you have your accounts linked to your Switch, then you've got a workaround. And speaking of eShop codes, it might be worth taking a look to see if you have any laying around. Did you ever spend some platinum points on the Legend of Zelda Picross game? Or maybe Flipnote Studio 3D? Maybe you bought a special edition system and it came with a download code. Or maybe you bought something digitally from an online retailer like a GameStop. It might be worth taking a look to see if you have some unused code sitting around somewhere. Now, one of my favorite strange little apps on the Nintendo 3DS is the Badge Arcade. This is an app that allows you to basically play in-game crane machines in different ways. You'll unlock these little icons that you can actually use to decorate your folders, or you can even just decorate them on your home screen. Now, when this app first released, you actually had to pay real money in order to play it, but a few years back, they actually made it so that way every day you play, you get 2 free credits to use in the game. So you'll basically every day you're guaranteed to get something. You just actually have to boot up your 3DS and actually check in and play it. I'm assuming this isn't going to be playable anymore. I could be wrong. Maybe somehow they will keep the online servers for this game alive, and maybe once you have the app downloaded, you'll be okay, but you definitely won't be able to add funds to it anymore. So get those free Badge Arcade plays in while you can. And on the topic of decorating your 3DS home screen, you can also still download 3DS themes. Most of these cost around $2 a piece. Now, you'll actually have to go into a separate shop in order to check these out. You can still use your eShop credits to buy them, but you actually have to go up into the customized theme section of your 3DS in the top left corner in order to find them. Most of them cost around $2 a piece. There are some free ones from Atlas and Sega that you can download, and there are actually some available that you can spend your platinum coins on My Nintendo as well. Now, sadly, these themes don't ever really give you a great preview within the app. They tell you what song might be playing in the background, and they show you what it'll look like. But I actually found some pretty good success checking on YouTube and finding that there were lots of different people that shared previews online of the different themes, so you can get an idea of what they exactly look like. And I still can't believe the Switch doesn't have themes. Like, I know that the home menu is quick and snappy and we like that, but not even colors, not even just a static picture in the background. Maybe someday. Maybe once the 3DS dies, right? Now, one thing I noticed while bopping back through the Nintendo 3DS eShop is that it's actually home to some pretty cool and exclusive videos that you can't find anywhere else. Remember the Nintendo Minute episodes that were hosted by Kit and Krista, the ones that were uploaded on Nintendo's own YouTube channel? Well, last time I checked, most of those actually have been taken down now, but you can still find a lot of them on the Nintendo 3DS's eShop. I ended up watching one the other day of Kit and Krista unboxing the Fire Emblem Echoes Collector's Edition. It felt like I had just traveled back in time. It was really cool to see, and you should go check them out while you still can. And while you can watch Dinosaur Office on YouTube, there's something special about seeing it all compressed and hearing the crunchy sounds come out of your 3DS and the low resolution video. It's very nostalgic, so go do it while you can. Now, if you don't want to spend any money and you're just happy to mess around with some demos, you'll find quite a few on the eShop still for the 3DS. You can find demos for WarioWare Gold, Detective Pikachu, Style Savvy Styling Star, Monster Hunter Stories, Ever Oasis, Yokai Watch. Actually, a bunch of the Yokai Watch games I think have demos. Phoenix Wright Spirit of Justice has a demo, and so does Rhythm Heaven Megamix. And beyond that, you may remember that Nintendo started the free to start program on the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U. So there are actually a lot of games that you can download on those systems as well for free. Mostly on 3DS, we have things like Mini Mario and Friends Amiibo Challenge, Pokemon Picross, Rumble World, Shuffle, Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, even Stretchmo was free to start. And the free content doesn't actually stop there either. Do you remember Blast Ball when that was announced at like E3 2015? It's a Rocket League style game that was included in Metroid Prime Federation Force. Now before Federation Force came out, they actually released Blast Ball as a free download for the Nintendo 3DS. You could play it online, locally, or just even the single player mode. And it kind of plays like Rocket League, where you're just kicking a soccer ball around this field, but instead of kicking it, you're shooting it with your blasters and firing charge missiles at it and trying to defeat the other team. Now the online modes have been shut down, but you can still download the game and play the single player or play it locally with your friends. Mario Party Star Rush actually has a guest pass as well that basically kind of works like Nintendo DS download play, where you download the app onto your 3DS and then you can play locally with other friends that have the full version of the game. But the cool thing here is you actually get access to different mini games to play even when you're not playing with your friends. You can play these solo if you want, and you unlock more as you actually play Star Rush with friends. And then all of your scores and any data that you make in the digital guest pass version of the game, you can actually then transfer that to the full game if you ever buy a physical cartridge later down the road. Another one that I was really surprised to see is RPG Maker Player. You've probably heard of RPG Maker before. It's an app that came out on PlayStation, was the earliest form I remember of it, but there's a newer version on Switch as well. And it basically is just an application that allows you to make your own role-playing games. But the cool thing, kind of like Mario Maker, is when you make a game, you'll actually get a code that you can then share online with other people. And then if you make a game and you want, the whole entirety of the internet to play it, or just some of your friends to play it and check it out, they can download the RPG Maker Player app, and you can download any custom-made game that anyone's ever made with RPG Maker on 3DS, and you can play the full thing, unrestricted. So that's just like a no-brainer. As long as you have extra room on your 3DS, just snag that while you can. You never know what's going to get made with RPG Maker someday on 3DS. Some of you may remember seeing these back in the day, but do you remember the Photos with Mario app that came to the 3DS? The app is a completely free download on the eShop, and what it does is allows you to use these AR cards that you get exclusively in these eShop $10 eShop cards, and you can actually use these and scan them into your system. And it allows you to kind of like project an AR version of Mario, Peach, Goomba into the real world and take photos of them. And you can set them in different poses. You could also make huge versions as well, so you could physically pose yourself with them and take photos. Apparently they also interact with each other as well. It seems really fun. While this isn't a must-have for anyone, I think it's something that you should snag while you still can, because it's also just another cool free app. And now this makes sense, but I didn't realize these were actually a Target exclusive as well. I found out while watching the trailer. Now, starting March 27th, the Pokemon Bank service is actually going to be completely free for the Nintendo 3DS. This app lets you transfer Pokemon from all of the DS and 3DS games, plus the Virtual Console Pokemon Game Boy releases as well. There are some restrictions to what you can transfer around, and you can actually send these Pokemon over to your Switch games as well, but you'll have to have a Pokemon Home Premium membership in order to do that. And I think that's about $3 a month or something like that, but you won't need one for Pokemon Bank anymore. Another fun thing that I haven't really gotten to test out yet is actually downloading SwapNote and SwapDoodle. These are apps that allow you to take advantage of StreetPass, and you can actually draw notes and pictures and then share them with anybody that use StreetPass. So I'm going to make sure that I download that app before I go to PAX, and I'm going to play around with it there and just try to share some cool little notes with people and see how it goes. But enough about the free stuff. Let's talk about the real games themselves. There are lots of digital exclusives that could potentially be lost to time. And some games like Yokai Watch 3, Rhythm Thief, and more are digitally much cheaper than they are physically, thanks to high demand. And those physical prices are probably only going to get worse as time goes on. Now the real question is, should we cover the Wii U games first or the 3DS ones? Let's let the bottle decide.
Huh. I wonder how that got there.
Yokai Watch 3 was the final entry on 3DS in the series, and by this time, popularity died down quite a bit here in the West. And the spin-off series, Yokai Watch Blasters, is also available here as well, and it's getting even harder to find physical copies of those than it is Yokai Watch 3. My insides are crying, but it's fine. They're just games. Rhythm Thief is a story-based Sega-published rhythm adventure. It was a really unique and exciting title for the time, blending Professor Layton-style graphics with rhythm elements that feel closest to Elite Beat Agents, if we really have to make a comparison. But the cool thing is the game is always changing up its gameplay mechanics and style, and maybe if we're lucky someday we'll get a re-release on Switch and Sega will incorporate some Persona 5 Joker collaboration. You can have that idea if you want, Sega. Please. Just take it. It's cool. We're friends. Speaking of friends, Moko Moko Friends is a kid-friendly and kid-focused monster catching game. It may not offer much in terms of difficulty, but if you're into the cutesy magical girl aesthetic, this could be a ton of fun. And the eShop version is much cheaper than buying it physical right now at $20. Capcom is digitally fire selling their entire 3DS library, including every Phoenix Wright game. And that may be the best value on the system. You can actually pick up the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy, which includes the first 3 games that originally released on DS, for a total of $3. You can also grab almost all of the Monster Hunter games at that price as well, and a couple other cool Capcom releases like Resident Evil Revelations. Now, one of my favorite series of games on the 3DS stars the little guy who just likes to push and pull and jump on blocks. Yes, he wears red clothes. No, he is not Mario, but he is adorable and probably has a bigger butt than him as well. I'm talking, of course, about Pushmo. And there are 3 whole games available on the 3DS alone. This is one of the cutest and comfiest puzzle platformers I've ever played. I don't think I've really played many games in that style, but I love this. Now, it can be a little difficult figuring out the titles of these games, as they actually go by different names in Europe and North America. In America, you've got Pushmo, Stretchmo, and Crashmo, and then in Europe, you're looking for pull blocks, fall blocks, and full blocks. Now, the thing that hurts my soul the most about these games is that they're available only digitally. They've never made physical versions of these games at all. Maybe someday we'll get lucky and Nintendo will release a collection for the Nintendo Switch. We don't need the touchscreen. We don't need the 3D. The 3D is cool, but just bring Pushmo to Switch, please. Call it pull blocks. I don't care. I'll still buy it. Release him. Who remembers Rusty's Real Deal Baseball? If you do, you get a star. Rusty never really amounted to more than just a meme on the internet, but we should try to change the narrative here. This is a game that starts off free to play, and though it's one part baseball batting cage simulator and one part visual novel, you actually get to haggle real deals with Rusty. He'll try to sell you new mini games that you can play in-game, and depending on what objects you give him and what you say to him, or if you manage to get a coupon from one of his kids, you'll actually be able to buy these mini games for less money. And when I'm talking about money, I mean real world money. You spend actual real world eShop credits on the minigames that you haggle with from Rusty. According to Chief Damon Gant over on Game FAQs, you could end up spending anywhere from $16 to $40 for all of Rusty's minigames, depending on your haggling skills. And after the eShop shuts down, those of you who want to see the full extent of Rusty's Real Deal Baseball will be unable to do so if you haven't already made it far enough into the game to purchase all of his minigames. Really, I can't recommend this weird title enough. Even if you just download the free version and play it a little bit, maybe you'll buy one minigame, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll buy them all, I don't know. I would say at least give it a shot and see if it makes you smile, because it's pretty weird, and I kinda love it. And we'll probably never see Rusty's Real Deal Baseball on Switch. I can't see it. Now, in terms of exclusives, we also have the Guild series by Level 5. This was an incredible effort to put out a wide range of short and sweet, but high quality games on the 3DS. Level 5 worked with a number of different developers to make all this happen, including Guichi Suda-san, the creator of No More Heroes, Kaz Ayabe-san, the director of the My Summer Vacation series, and Yasumi Matsuno-san, who was heavily involved in the Tactic Over series. And there are so many more developers involved in these games too. The Guild series gave birth to things like Attack of the Friday Monsters, which was a charming and nostalgic journey through the lens of a Super Sentai kaiju-obsessed kid. We've got a full video on that game in the description down below. Liberation Maiden is a somewhat 3D shoot 'em up with flying mechs and plenty of flashy moments. Crimson Shroud is a short turn-based RPG inspired by the experiences of playing a pen and paper tabletop RPG like Dungeons and Dragons. Like I said, most of these games are incredibly brief experiences, but the love poured into them is palpable. And we'll do our best to make sure that these games are remembered for years to come. Game Freak, the creators of Pokemon, even branched out back in 2013 and developed a rhythm game called Harmonite, exclusively for the 3DS eShop. This was actually directed by James Turner, who was also the art director on Pokemon Sword and Shield, and is now co-directing The Plucky Squire, which is coming to Switch. Harmonite is an incredibly well-animated rhythm adventure, reminiscent of Parappa the Rapper in the fact you're tasked with memorizing a string of notes quickly to take down enemies with a massive music note weapon. It's always nice to see Game Freak tackling something different, even if they don't hit every single one out of the park. But with this one, they really did. There are so many great 3DS eShop exclusives, we could be here all day. In the US, Rhythm Heaven Megamix never got a physical release. Pocket Card Jockey, Box Boy. This list could never end. So check out nintendolife.com for a full list of our favorite 3DS digital titles and even our favorite 3DS games. And maybe you can dig through the comments down below and find something that someone else demands that you play, or at least maybe just recommends. Now for DLC, there are plenty of games that offer some as well. Titles like Fantasy Life, Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, and the Spirit of Justice game, Super Smash Bros, and even the Shin Megami Tensei games offer paid DLC. And some of them you actually aren't given the option to purchase the DLC until you make it far enough in the game. We're looking at you, Fire Emblem Fates. The Revelations DLC story arc is only purchasable if you've made it past Chapter 6 in the game. But otherwise, you're kind of out of luck if you want to buy it right now and haven't played the game yet. And one question I see that gets asked a lot online is if StreetPass is going to be going away, if it's going to be unusable after the eShop goes down. And you know what? It's not. It uses local wireless connectivity, so StreetPass is forever. But one thing that is going away, considering StreetPass, are the StreetPass Mi Plaza minigames. I don't have a ton of experience with these yet, but this year, since I'm making sure I take my 3DS everywhere I go, I've purchased all of them, and every month I'm adding a new one into my lineup of games to play. Initially, I only had Find Me and Puzzle Swap, which come with the 3DS straight up, but I also downloaded Ultimate Angler, and I now just recently started playing Flower Town, but I haven't given it much time yet. And most of these games run from $3 to $5 each, but there are some cool bundles that you can get as well. Slot Car Rivals, Feed Me, Ninja Launcher, and Me Trek are all $3 each, or $9 if you buy them all together as a bundle. Flower Town, Me Force, Monster Manor, and Warrior's Way, those are all $5 each, or if you buy all four, you get them for $15. Battleground Z and Ultimate Angler are also $5 each, but if you buy those together, you get them for $8. So all of these discounts range from about 20 to 25% off, but they're worth doing if you're planning on trying to StreetPass a lot in the future. I haven't gotten a lot of tags this year yet, but PAX East is coming up. I'm looking forward to it. You may want to consider getting the StreetPass VIP badge as well. This actually gives you access to the StreetPass Birthdays feature, which allows you to collect people's birthdays as you StreetPass with them. You get a VIP room where you can put your favorite Plaza guests in. You can filter out certain games and different conditions from your StreetPass Plaza. And the best part, in my opinion, is the queue, which allows you to hold 100 different Miis so that way you can play with them whenever you want. Normally, StreetPass only allows you to get 10 characters at a time, but if you get that queue, the other 90 characters that you StreetPass before you play with those 10 actually go into this kind of lobby, and then you can just dump them into the 3DS 10 at a time and play with them whenever you want. Now, the last thing I can recommend for the 3DS is how big is your SD card? The 3DS can take all the way up to a 32 gigabyte micro SD card or standard SD card without any hiccups. I've heard that you can use a larger one, but it's not always guaranteed to work all right, but I haven't tried it myself. And the cool thing is if you do buy a bunch of games or apps on the 3DS eShop and you don't have room to save them on your system, even though the eShop is going away after March 31st, you'll still be able to re-download all of the stuff that you purchased then. So if I just talked about a bunch of stuff that you want to buy and you don't happen to have a large enough SD card in your system or laying around somewhere that you can use, don't sweat it. You can still buy stuff and then download them later. And if you happen to already have a bunch of stuff downloaded on your SD card, you can actually pop it into your computer, put all of that stuff from that SD card into a folder, and then copy it over to your bigger SD card, pop it in your 3DS, and you're good to go. You may want to look up a video on exactly how to do all of that, because I probably missed some important detail there, but it is pretty straightforward and easy to do. Now with the 3DS out of the way, let's move on to the Wii U. Now, unfortunately, since Wii U games have much larger file sizes for the most part, you may need to invest in an external hard drive for storage. You'll need to make sure though that you either get one that has external power from a wall outlet, because the Wii U actually has only USB 2.0 hubs on the back, which actually aren't strong enough to power a external hard drive on their own. Or if you do happen to buy a slim, nice, compact external hard drive like I purchased, you can actually get a cord that plugs into it that has two USBs on it, kind of like the GameCube Super Smash Bros. Dongle. One of them will power the USB hub and the other one will do the data connection. It's a really slick way to avoid another AC adapter plugged into your wall or your power strip. The SD card slot on the Wii U also doesn't work for downloadable games or save data either. It still works for Wii games, but nothing for Wii U. Now with all of the Wii U to Switch ports out there, there aren't as many games that we really wanted to talk about for the Wii U here, but there are still some things that you should definitely consider looking into. Those expecting a standard, fast-paced microgame compilation may be left disappointed with Game & Wario, as it's more of a Wii Play scenario. It hosts around 15 different mini-games that are more fleshed out and make use of the Wii U gamepad, but not all of them are something to write home about. Some of the multiplayer games though, like Camera and Pirate, are really unique experiences that you can only play on something like the Wii U with the gamepad tablet. And at $30, we're unsure if it's really worth the asking price. It's really not worth the physical asking price these days, but $30 is much better, which hurts to say for like an almost 10-year-old game. But here we are. Now we can only hope it's a matter of time before the all-time classics, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, make the leap over to the Switch, but right now they're still glued to the Wii U. In my opinion, neither of these games ever really made massive use of the Wii U gamepad, but it's great to have a way to play these games in 1080p. And even though Nintendo is still asking $50 whole for Twilight Princess HD on the Wii U eShop in North America, Wind Waker HD is only $20, and we can't recommend that enough. Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water is also kind of an interesting one. In North America, this was only a downloadable game. It got physical copies in Japan and Europe though. And while the Switch port does have some new updates to the visuals and feels like a smoother overall experience, the motion controls that were made possible with the gamepad will give you a more memorable and fun experience. Being able to move around in a 3D space and take pictures with the gamepad is pretty cool. It's much more immersive than Spirit Camera, I think. And you can't even unlock the Princess Zelda or Zero Suit Samus costumes on the Switch version either. You can only get those on the Wii U version. And there is a free demo that allows you to start the game and transfer over your progress. And if you like it, you can download more later. But be warned, this is a massive download. I remember having troubles trying to download it on my 32 gig system back in the day, and I really didn't even have that many digital games. Pushmo World! It's more Pushmo! This game should come to the Switch at the very least. Now, one game that I see people always talking about that I still have not purchased myself is Affordable Space Adventures. This can be a cooperative experience where you're exploring this world in this little ship, but the gamepad actually has all of these different settings that you have to control so that way your ship doesn't blow up, basically, from what I've gathered. This game could come to other systems maybe someday, but I don't think it'll ever capture the magic that it seems this Wii U version did. Now, there aren't as many crucial DLC packs to download for the Wii U either. There is DLC for Mario Kart 8, Super Smash Bros, of course, but you have things like Xenoblade Chronicles X. There are 4 different download packs that you can download to your system, as long as you have enough storage space, and they actually speed up the overall load times of the entire game. And if you're gonna play Xenoblade Chronicles X, it sounds like you should absolutely have this downloaded, even if you have the disc. Download that stuff, and it'll help. Sonic Lost World also actually has 2 free DLC packs, one of which is themed entirely around Yoshi, and the other has a Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword mission. And while the motion controls can be a little weird with Wii Sports Club, it's kind of cool that you can buy individual passes for the different minigames that are on offer. And bowling is the Wii Sports game I will play forever. I could live on a deserted island and probably be fine with Wii Sports Bowling. So I bought the individual pass for that for $10, and it actually has online play that to this day still works. With the physical version of Wii Sports Club, you've got bowling, baseball, boxing, tennis, and golf. but that version I don't think sold very well, so there aren't a lot of copies of it floating around out in the wild. So if you want to play one of these Wii Sports Club games, it might be worth checking out the passes. Now we're a long ways into this video. I'm not wearing my mother. Now we're quite a ways into this video already. Yes, my mother watch is telling me we're very far. And we haven't even talked about Virtual Console yet. I hope you didn't think I was gonna skip it, because there's no way I could skip it. The 3DS has some really cool stuff that, beyond physical releases, there aren't other ways to officially get these games. You can get all of the Pokemon Game Boy and Game Boy Color games like Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, and Crystal. The Famicom darling Mysterious Murasame Castle is here. There are even some Game Gear games like Tails Adventure and Shining Force. Earthbound? Yes, we do have it on the Switch now, but without Earthbound being on the 3DS, I just want to put it out there. I would not be the Earthbound fan that I am today without having it accessible there. I did buy it on the Wii U when it was first released there as well, but I only put a few hours into it and fell off. Like really, play it on your Switch, but if you like your 3DS, it's a great place to play it too. And it's worth keeping in mind that you can only download Super Nintendo games on the new versions of the 3DS. So the new 2DS, the new 3DS, the new 3DS XL, they won't work on older generation systems. I have no idea why. They're Super Nintendo games. I'm stumped. I know that Nintendo has to have a good reason, but it's wild. I swear, the Switch 2 is probably actually gonna lock Virtual Boy games behind it. Oh no. Now the Wii U has a ton of great Virtual Console games. You've got stuff from the NES, Super Nintendo, N64. You don't have GameCube games, very oddly, but you do have Wii games. You've got Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo. There's a ton of TurboGrafx stuff. Now the NES version of Duck Hunt, if you were to play that with classic hardware on a modern TV, it won't work because of the way the light gun actually reads data from the screen. It just won't work. But Nintendo actually reworked the Virtual Console NES release of Duck Hunt to take advantage of the IR sensor in the Wii remote. So if you have Wii remotes for your Wii U, you can actually play Duck Hunt with a cursor instead. It's not the best experience, but it's unique. And there are actually a lot of classic Natsume titles that are readily available on the Wii U Virtual Console. I'm talking stuff like Car Battler Joe on GBA, Ogre Battle 64, and Harvest Moon 64. You've even got Pocky and Rocky from the Game Boy Advance. Those games are really hard to find now. And the Metroid games, you've got Fusion and Zero Mission. You can even get some DS games, and it's actually pretty wild that you can play them sideways on your Wii U gamepad. And let's talk about those Wii games. Pikmin 1 and 2, Metroid Prime Trilogy. Zack and Wiki is on sale for $3, and that game did not sell very well, but it's a really interesting and fun kind of adventure puzzle game. Now, before we wrap up this video, another thing to consider as well is updating your games. Nintendo has come out and said that game updates for the Wii U and 3DS will be available until basically further notice. We don't know when they're going to go offline, but it's worth just popping your games into your system and getting those updates downloaded. You can even check the eShop for games that you don't even own yet, and you can download updates for them. I actually did a video on this topic, oh gosh, maybe like a year ago. I'll leave a link in the description down below to that as well, so you can check it out and get those updates downloaded so that way you don't miss out on them. There's even a Style Savvy game out there that has a game-breaking bug that you'll want to download that update for if you're a fan of Style Savvy games. There you go. Look at you now. You are so much more knowledgeable about the Nintendo 3DS and the Wii U eShops. You know exactly what you're going to be missing out on, and hopefully you can take advantage of these purchases or the free downloads, whatever it is you want, while you still have time. I know this video came out incredibly late. I know it doesn't really give you a lot of time to prep. I'm so sorry. We've had so much going on lately that I've been working on this video for way too long now. My notes were massive, as you can imagine, but I hope you got something out of this. And even if you're watching this a year down the road or years down the road, I hope that some of these games have been re-released in other forms, or you've found a friend, or you found a way to play them, because games should not be forgotten. People put a lot of time and effort into these things, and to just see them get taken down is, frankly, it's very inhumane in a way. And I hope the world can learn and find a way to preserve this stuff, because it should be saved. We shouldn't have to be scrambling like this to get these things before they're gone forever. But of course, let us know in the comments down below if there's something crucial that you think that everybody should consider getting before the 3DS eShop and the Wii U eShop go down. Let us know if you learned something important in this video or you found something super cool that you're gonna check out. Let us know. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, then why don't you go ahead and subscribe to that Nintendo Life YouTube channel before it just randomly disappears. That would be a real shame, and hopefully that never happens, but I don't know. Time. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Zion from Nintendo Life. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time. Hey, and don't forget to take your StreetPass with you next time you leave the house.